On the streets of Caracas, chaos. Anti-government demonstrators taking on police and government troops in what's being called the final phase of efforts to topple Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Defend freedom, he says. Out with tyranny. At one point, a military vehicle rammed into the crowd straight at demonstrators who fell under its giant wheels. Their fate unclear. Protesters countered in turn, throwing firebombs at the vehicle. Said opposition leader Juan Guaido, leading the demonstrations, Venezuelans want change. Indeed, at one point, a signal perhaps government forces were switching sides. Cheering erupted when some soldiers opened an air base to demonstrators who surged in before other soldiers turned them back. Indeed, tonight, the military still backs Maduro, even after word Maduro himself, remarkably, may be set to fold. Says the U.S., he was preparing to flee Venezuela for Cuba this morning.
That Maduro's plane was parked on the tarmac and he was preparing himself to depart is a fact.
Added the U.S., Russia talked Maduro out of it. Meanwhile, said U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton today, the U.S. remains open to using its military to back Guaido.
All options are on the table.
Guaido declared himself president in January and is now recognized by some 50 countries, including Canada and the U.S. But Maduro labels him little more than a U.S. puppet. Bottom line, with the country in a kind of free-fall, demonstrations rage on. Says Guaido, they'll be even bigger tomorrow. He tweeted today to his followers, "This is our moment." Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Now, Canada's government, which has already declared its support for Juan Guaido, is very concerned about the situation and today made a direct appeal to the president, Nicolas Maduro.
Canada commends their courage, and we call on the Maduro regime to step aside now and allow for a peaceful end to this crisis in line with the Venezuelan Constitution. It is time for Venezuela, in line with its own laws, to return to democracy.
Freeland also announced plans to speak with other Latin American foreign ministers about the crisis. Meanwhile, Venezuelans staged demonstrations in this country today as well. Protesters gathered outside the Venezuelan embassy in Ottawa and in Calgary, calling again on Maduro to step down.